for Riel. In case you didn't know, we donate all the money we earn from YouTube to charities operating in Cambodia. But the best bit is that you're helping us earn this money just by watching. Details of the funds we've donated in the past are in the description of every video we publish. Don't forget the Siem Reap house building charity called Heartprint has its Match It May campaign going at the moment, and any donation you make to them will be at least doubled, depending on the amount of money they raise. Today's ride features Diamond Island in Phnom Penh and was provided by the lovely pair over at Riding with the Ranas. They have been putting out some excellent content on their channel lately, so be sure to go over there and check them out. Today is Wednesday, the 18th of May, and in today's news we've got lots of big stuff. A big tree, a big stingray, a big theft in a garment factory, and perhaps the highlight of today's news motto, a big number of cars running into stuff. Stick around to the end though, because we're going to look back into the results from the beer poll where I asked you, dear viewers, to nominate your preferred beer when in Cambodia. I must say, I am a bit surprised by the outcome. First up in today's news, quarantine is here to stay for unvaccinated people entering the kingdom. Prime Minister Hun Sen has said that Cambodia will not scrap the quarantine requirement for unvaccinated inbound travellers, despite several neighbouring countries reportedly considering lifting it, as he urged the Ministry of Health to continue seeking ways to establish a vaccine manufacturing facility. We are now pushing people to get vaccinated, so why would we consider lifting the quarantine for unvaccinated people? If we do so, who would want to get vaccinated? It also affects other countries that are pushing for vaccination of their population, he said. He went on to say, if we lift the quarantine requirement, then unvaccinated foreign visitors will be heading to Cambodia. But we must not think about money more than we do our lives. I will not permit backsliding on this issue, he said. On that vaccination point, 9 million Cambodians have now had their third vaccination. Some 9,028,977 people in Cambodia have received their third dose since the campaign started in August last year, with frontliners in 7 provinces facing the Thai border being among the first to receive their booster shots. Overall, 15,009,479 or 93.81% of the targeted 16 million people, based on the 2019 census, have received their first dose. Of these, 14,269,075 have received their second dose. Khmer Times ran a story today that the number of active cases in Cambodia is now just 1. In the hopes of arriving at COVID-0, the kingdom is holding its collective breath as no new cases were recorded for the 11th day running. Of course, a case can't be recorded if it's not reported, and it can't be reported if it's not diagnosed. Cambodia's total number of deaths directly attributed to COVID is sitting at 3,056, while I read elsewhere today that the US has just crossed 1 million deaths due to COVID, and in Australia COVID numbers are reaching levels not seen before. So all in all, Cambodia's numbers are very low. Whether they actually are at 1 or not doesn't really matter. Give them back. There are ancient Khmer artefacts sitting in public and private museums all over the world, usually the result of looting, but sometimes they are recent discoveries that have been in the care of other bodies for the purpose of research. In one such case, France's EFEO has just returned more than 146 archaeological pieces, including 11 wooden pillars and 1 inscription stone, to the Apsara National Authority. These archaeological pieces were unearthed during excavations from 2012 to 2017 and during the restoration of the West Mebon Temple. On the other hand, though, the Cambodian government has written to the UK government requesting the return of artefacts illegally taken from the country during wartime and kept at British museums. The cultural minister sent a letter to her British counterpart and said many significant items had wrongfully ended up in institutions, including London's Victoria and Albert Museum and the British Museum. Some of these are believed to have made their way there through British art dealer Douglas Latchford, who was facing prosecution over charges of smuggling and selling stolen items when he died in 2020. Brad Gordon, head of the ministry's investigation team, said that the trade in artefacts, much of which happened when the country was ruled by the Khmer Rouge in the mid-70s, could be considered a war crime, covered by articles of the Hague Convention, the BBC reported last week. This was a time of conflict, and the whole world knew it, Brad Gordon said. Large museums like the British Museum or the Victoria and Albert shouldn't have accepted those pieces. What a fantastic job Brad Gordon has, heading up the Ministry of Culture's investigation team. That would be really interesting work, don't you think? Next up is the story of the big 500-year-old tree. The tree was retrieved from the Mekong River. It had fallen into the river after the bank where it was growing collapsed. The tree is estimated to be about 500 years old and has a trunk diameter of about 7 metres, and it's about 30 metres tall. Villagers gathered yesterday in a show of respect, and they offered prayers to the 500-year-old tree. When word spread that the tree had been placed in the grounds of the commune hall for preservation, villagers from near and far made a beeline for it. I love the idea of people coming from far and wide to see a tree. One local resident said, "They see the tree as a precious and powerful object. They say it is the owner of the land and water here." When word spread, people started to come from all over the place. The commune chief said the teak tree will not be carved up for timber. "We will keep it in our commune because it has a history with the community here," he said. A gang of 4 thieves, 3 men and a woman, fled with about $1 million after breaking into a garment factory and ransacking its office. The gang gained entry into the factory by cutting the factory door locks at about 1 a.m. yesterday. The thieves then pried open the doors of 4 steel safes where US dollars and Khmer Riels were kept. There has been a slew of reports this week of cars running into various objects. The headlines are increasingly hilarious, so please do check these out in the links in the pinned comment. In the first story, we have car versus road divider. A Lexus driver foolishly decided to test his mettle against the sturdy Phnom Penh road divider on Saturday night and came off worse. The accident happened in Sen Sok at about 1:30 p.m. As usual, there were witnesses saying the man was seen driving at high speed. It is unclear whether he remained at the scene or whether he fled, but he did manage to hit the divider right in the middle. Impressive aiming there. Next up, car versus garbage truck. Have you ever wondered whether, if you smashed your car into a rubbish truck, if it would slip over or stay upright? Wonder no more. A Phnom Penh road was turned into an impromptu refuse dump yesterday after a garbage truck was flipped by a careless driver crashing into it. According to sources, the blue Korean garbage truck was driving along National Road 3 in a south to east direction. A white Triton car collided head-on with the garbage truck, causing it to overturn. Okay, so now we know what happens if you hit a garbage truck. What would happen if you rammed your car into a tree? In car versus tree, one Phnom Penh driver finds out. The accident occurred at midnight on the 15th of May along Bore Angkor Road in Rusikeo, Phnom Penh. According to onlookers at the scene, the man was seen driving a white Ford Ranger along the road in a north to south direction erratically and at high speed. The driver then lost control of his vehicle and slammed into the innocent tree. In car versus roundabout, the drunk driver of a black Toyota Prius took on a massive roundabout with decorative statues in Troy Changvar. The driver staggered off into the night, leaving a steaming pile of destruction behind him. In car versus Central Market, a white Mazda was seen driving erratically along Street 63 in a south to north direction. The incident happened at 1:30 a.m. and the driver was left ruining his early morning shopping trip. In a plot twist, he was still in the car when police arrived. Next up, we've got car versus house. A drunk driver was an unwelcome guest at a Phnom Penh house when he rudely crashed into the property. Prior to the incident, the inebriated man was seen driving a black Camry from north to south at high speed, also in Troy Changvar. Thankfully, nobody was injured. The driver and the householder attempted to negotiate compensation, but an agreement could not be made, possibly due to the driver's level of intoxication. It should come as no surprise that calls for alcohol breath tests at night are intensifying. According to reports, the traffic accidents are mostly happening at night, making it a concern to the people as well as local authorities. Several people have died and a lot of damage to property has been reported. This would seem like a sensible solution. In our last big story of the day, Cambodian fishermen hooked an enormous endangered freshwater stingray. The ray measured 4 metres in diameter and weighed about 180 kilos. It was caught by accident after it swallowed a smaller fish that had taken a baited hook. And in the comments section you will find some video footage of the release. It's really worth seeing just because of the size of that thing. Now seems to be a good time to look into the beer poll from the past weekend. We surveyed the for real public and it gives me great pleasure to announce the results, unexpected as they are. Faced with 4 cool customers in the form of Angkor, that's Anchor, Cambodia, Gansberg, and Angkor, that's Angkor, the clear winner is, drumroll, Angkor, Angkor. We thought it would be Cambodia. Unsurprisingly, Gansberg came in last, and the third spot was taken by Angkor with a CH. That brings us to the end of this week's news. You're now up to date with all of the most important events in the kingdom. Thank you for watching. As always, links to the stories mentioned will be in the pinned comment, and we'd like to thank Riding with the Ranas again for providing today's ride. Link to their channel will also be there for you, so you can have a look. Take care, have a great week, and we'll see you very soon.